Yo, what's going on, everybody? I am back with another Keeping It Real podcast, and we are here. We're episode number 32. It is the end of January. 2021 has started. The new year has come, and it has brought a lot of gifts. Just making sure I got everything recording right now. We're here solo dolo, baby. Solo dolo, and you already know. If you have not yet checked out my website, check out my website. Link will be in the description. So check out my website. Link is in my description. My personal YouTube vlogs, links in the description. Instagram, links in the description. Podcast Instagram link is in the description. So check all that good stuff out. I'm going to be dropping merchandise very, very soon. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty lit. I'm pretty hyped. We're going to be dropping merch on the website very soon. So go check out that website. Go subscribe to this channel right now. Smash that like button. Drop a comment. If you want to follow the podcast clip account, check that out. I will probably have that in the comments or in the description. So check that out. What's going on, everybody? It is another day. It is a beautiful day. What's today? Today's Sunday. I got work today. It's snowing. I just ran in the snow. So I felt like a little bit of a David Goggins type of vibe, you know what I'm saying? It was snowing. I was running, and it was snowing. The snow was getting in my face, but I was like, let's go, baby. But, yeah, I've been training for a lot of cool different things coming up. So if you guys want to check out what I am training for, how my training is going, what the heck am I training, why am I training, check out my vlog. I have all the information there. I am trying to train for an ultra marathon. My first ultra marathon, and with that comes, I'm going to be competing in half marathons, all these different type of events. Spartan races, if you've never heard of Spartan races, it's actually pretty dope. It's kind of like Tough Mudder. It's like an obstacle course. Well, first off, Spartan is a company, and they make all these different races in 40 different countries. It started in this guy, Joe DeSena, is the owner of Spartan races, and he's a pretty cool guy. He's been on Rogan, been on Rich Roll podcast, and he has I don't want to compare anybody, but he has like a David Goggins type of background in the aspect of a lot of ultra races, a lot of crazy experience with endurance athletics, I guess you could say. So he's a savage, and he started this company called Spartan Race, Spartan Games, whatever it is. The Spartan company, and they have like these races where they do 5K supers, 10K super. I think the super is a 10K, but they do 5K and 10K races. They do ultra races, 21K, 50K, 100K kilometers is what I'm saying by K. So yeah, it's pretty dope. It's really dope. They got like kind of like a little TV show that they're trying to work on. So I have found them as a brand. I found them as a company. So I do low key want to get in contact with them a little bit, but at the same time, I need to go at least do 1 or 2 or 3 and just compete and see how I'm feeling and see. It's a lot of the running aspect is definitely going to be one of my stronger suits. I think I'm hoping, but then they have like monkey bars. They have like barbed wire crawl through. They got rope climbing. They got the big rocks that you just pick up and run with, big sandbags. So, like I said, if you guys want to see some of the weird training that I'm going to start doing, that I'm kind of already doing, I'm doing right now a lot of kettlebell training, a lot of kettlebell exercises. And, dude, I'm really just trying to learn a lot about fitness and exercise and weightlifting and strength training. That's a big thing. I've kind of spent some times over the past few months learning about, heart rate training and running training. Now I just need to incorporate it all together and actually do it I kind of have been doing it, but yeah, if you guys want to check out any of that content, check out my YouTube. Link is straight in the description right below, so you guys check that out. But today we have a lot to talk about. It's going to be a fun podcast. It is going to be a real fun podcast, so take that into consideration. We're going to be goofing around a lot, and dude, we got to talk about everything. We got to talk about the Capitol raid. We got to talk about GameStop. We got to talk about Joe Biden. We got to talk about it all. 2021 is coming at us very hard, and we got to come back just as hard, baby. But yeah, like I said, subscribe, drop a comment, do what you got to do, help the boy. This is our year. This is the Keeping It Real podcast year, 2021. This is our year to make it happen. So yeah, stay tuned. Merch will be coming very, very short. Hopefully before March or April, I should have merch on the website. That is the goal. That is the overall goal, is to figure out how I'm going to get I don't even know how to do merch. So it's probably going to be a few YouTube videos, and then we'll get rolling with that thing. I know a few people that do have their own merch from YouTube and stuff like that. So it's actually, and they kind of use the same guy that I use for building my website. Shout out to my boy Levi. What's going on, baby? But yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling through. We're rolling with the punches, baby. So I mean, it is end of January, so I honestly did not get to cover the Capitol raid. I had a few guests on my podcast. Like I said, check out the other podcasts. I got some guests. I got some guests on the way. I got some really good guests on the way, so stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited to really start my networking journey. But at the same time, man, we had the Capitol raid. I'm not quite sure exactly what day that is today. Like I said, it's Sunday the 31st, so it's the last day of January. I'm not quite sure when that raid was. What was it, like the 4th or the 5th or 6th of January? Something like that, I think. So I was out snowboarding. I was literally out snowboarding all day. I left my house at probably 9, 10 in the morning. I got to the snowboard place I got to the mountain at 11, 12 at the latest. I started snowboarding. Dude, I got home at like 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m., and I had come home to everybody just reposting. So I don't have Twitter because Twitter is bad for your mental health, and Twitter is hacked by China. So I've been screaming that since day one, and I used to be a Twitter head. So if you're on Twitter just looking at shit, get off of Twitter, because you're looking at everything you see is supposed to manipulate you. That's my opinion. I was a Twitter head, bro. I had over like 30, 40,000 tweets. Truly, I was a Twitter head. I would be on there all the time, talking shit, doing my thing. Now Twitter's just as bad as it was a few years ago. It's so bad. Just the mental health, people on there just talking shit. That's what I was doing. Everybody else was doing the same thing. It's honestly same thing with TikTok. I don't go on TikTok anymore. Every once in a while, like I'll download TikTok like once a week and post a bunch of like these podcast clips, because that's basically the only TikTok I have now, is like my podcast account. And yeah, it's just really bad for mental health, truthfully. Just like looking at it retrospectively when I'm on the app and I just like see people's opinions and I kind of get mad. I'm just like, why am I on this app? So yeah, I definitely quit TikTok. Quit. I feel like I'm not pronouncing that right. Quit TikTok. That's what I quit. But yeah, I quit TikTok, and it's bad. It's just it's terrible for the mental health. Definitely want to if you're a content creator, though, there is the opportunity to possibly go viral on that app, though. That's the whole idea. So I definitely understand why people are on there doing the damn thing. I definitely understand that. Not trying to be a hater, but it is so bad for mental health just to see all these people around the world. And it's real. TikTok really is just a bunch of pretty girls shaking their ass on camera. That's really all it is. So be careful going on those applications. But yeah, the Capitol raid. I got home at like 9, 10 p.m. and everyone's just posting about the Capitol raid. And truthfully, I actually know a kid that was there. Yeah, I know a kid that was there. And like I seen him there in the morning. And I was like, oh, I guess like they're about to protest. Like I watch Alex Jones every once in a while, so I knew they were about to go there. I didn't know it was going to turn into what eventually happened. I mean, number one, if you go to odds are, if you go to a protest, you do not have much of a life, okay? I have shit to do. I'm not spending my day at a protest, okay? And that's basically the super simplistic explanation for any protest, any type of protest. You're probably not going to find me there. But that being said, I low-key wish I went to the Capitol, because that looked crazy, bro. That looked crazy. It would have been some great content if I had like my camera and was walking around interviewing people and stuff. That would have been so funny, bro. Oh my God, yo. So and low-key, if you want me to be 100% honest with you, I will try my best to buy that hat, that little Viking hat, and I will try to wear it on the podcast. So that's just what it is, and I just need to be honest with you guys. Also, take into consideration that this podcast is technically considered a comedy podcast. So if you get offended, I don't really care. No, but if you get offended, take in consideration. For the most part, I'm joking. I'm kind of joking about all this. I think true comedy is actually fun. Like when comedy is actually funny, it's because they're making fun of real shit, and there is a sense of kind of reality behind some of that comedy. So that's why I think this is just funny as shit. And that's why Trump is funny as hell, yo. Like what? I don't care what side you sit on. Like Trump is a clown. Like when he starts going on and starts talking, like just the way Trump talks and his like facial expressions is like, blah, blah. I can't even do a good Trump impersonation. He's just funny as shit. But that being said, I do want to get my hands on that Viking hat. Yo, imagine I got the Viking hat and it's got the little things coming down. It's got the fur patches coming down. Yo, that is hilarious. And also, if your boy made it to Nancy Pelosi's seat, oh my God, bro, that would have been gold. That would have been content gold right there. If I'm vlogging in Nancy Pelosi's seat right there. Come on, yo. Come on. Nancy Pelosi's a criminal. I don't really care what you think about those people. The guy that stole Nancy Pelosi's emails got killed. They say he shot himself in the chest. He shot himself with a shotgun in the heart. Let's be real, bro. He got killed. He got murked by the government. The same people that killed Epstein killed the guy that had Nancy Pelosi's emails. And that's just what it is, okay? But I think and I talked about it on my last podcast. I talked about it on my last solo podcast, and it was a conspiracy that I threw out. I posted it on TikTok, and my caption was, this was before the Capitol raid, so go figure, right? And I was talking about how the government, possibly media/government, is going to rile up and invoke the Antifa kind of super far left versus the super far right, the alt-right, the QAnon type of guys. They wanted them to get so mad and riled up and passionate that they were going to eventually fight each other or cause some sort of like mass destruction. And that would invoke the government that would promote the government to basically invoke martial law. And I believe, if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, I believe there's like some sort of law right now some sort of like bill that was passed a while ago that was like, if we go into a martial law as a country, we would basically shut down the government type shit, and the UN, the United Nations, would come into America, and they would start to govern what would happen in America until there's no martial law. And I believe martial law, the whole idea with martial law is they want to start martial law, and then they want to take our guns, and then without our guns, we're not allowed to protect ourselves from tyrannical government. That's the whole idea with the Second Amendment, okay? That's the whole idea with the Second Amendment. So when people get a misconception like, oh, you should only have a gun to go hunting, that's fucking retarded, okay? That means you do not know about the Constitution as much as you maybe think you do, okay? And I'm not some genius. I'm not. But the right to bear arms is not to go out hunting in your backyard to provide food for your family. That's a part of the concept. That is a part of the concept, but it is a whole lot deeper than that. It is a whole lot deeper than that. And I was actually talking about that with my guest last week, my boy Roldy, and we were talking I was kind of explaining, it seemed like maybe he not the most comfortable with like the gun conversation. Not everybody understands that, especially in New Jersey. My parents do not own firearms. They're from New York City. They don't know what's going on with firearms. I met a kid when I was younger, and I've been friends with him ever since. And he is just so happened to be a kind of a gun-toting kind of kid. And he kind of taught me all this different stuff. Obviously, he taught me how to shoot. He taught me how to clean and all this stuff. I've met other people along the way that are also gun enthusiasts, and I've learned from them. But also, you learn why that law is there. The fact that a 14-year-old kid could explain to me, when we were 14 at the time, and shout out to Dom for that, because he was 14 and he understood why the Second Amendment was in place. And that just goes to show that someone taught him the right way. And it's not about hunting. There is a part that, like, you have a house with your family, you're sleeping in a house, and you have the right to protect and defend yourself. If some crazy guy is broke on drugs, on alcohol, I mean, you're allowed to go out and drink alcohol. So if you end up getting drunk and then you go rob a, because a lot of these violent crimes, and this is a lot of thing that people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear this, but the majority, I believe, I think this is a statistic. The majority of violent crimes is committed while people are under the influence of drugs, but specifically alcohol, and then other drugs as well. But alcohol is always a proponent, and nobody ever wants to talk about that because everybody wants to be an alcoholic, okay? But not Lukey V, because I'll be 21 in about a month, and I will not drink because this year I'm gonna make a vlog about this as well, kind of explaining why. But I do not drink alcohol. I'm just not about that life anymore. I used to kind of party in college and stuff like that. Party actually in high school as well, but I just don't find that pleasing. I don't find that attractive. I don't find the necessity to go out and drink and party and stuff. I just don't really see a draw to it anymore. And also, it's very negative. Like, you're not in your right state of mind when you are drunk on alcohol, and that's period. That's period. And there's also like a strong. There's just we can kind of go into a little different conversation right now about like the hookup culture in college, right? So right now there's a massive just not just in college, but just a hookup culture. There's a culture of, you go out to the bar, you go out to the club, you drink, everybody's drinking, you meet a girl, she's kind of drunk, you're kind of drunk. Next thing you know, you guys are dancing together, hooking up. Maybe you take each other home, maybe you don't. Maybe you guys freaking have sex. I don't know what's going on. But there's a sense of like, that person doesn't really, number one, that person doesn't know you, right? You met each other both when you're drunk, both when you're both social, very sociable, right? Not naturally sociable. You're drunk and very social. And then you become very sexualized. You're very open with your sexuality when you're drunk and stuff like that. So you're willing to maybe I'll go to third base. Maybe I'll hit a home run with this guy, or maybe she's gonna let me go to. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what's gonna happen? But that being said, I just think that hook, and then that leads to people, getting raped and getting sexually assaulted and consent, and I don't remember this, that, and the third. It becomes a very tricky situation, especially for someone that's a young kid that's kind of like looking into the whole genre of people doing that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I also just don't think that's good. Like, you're meeting someone that's not in their right state of mind. Like, when you wake up tomorrow morning, that person's not going to be that person that you met. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're drunk and trying to have fun and trying to go meet girls or trying to go meet guys, like, that's not your everyday. When you wake up 9:30 in the morning the next day, that's not who you are. And personally, I just don't really like that. Like, when you meet someone drunk and like, it's like, oh, this is this person. And then they're like, yo, it's like, this person has to get drunk to go back to being this person. It's such a weird setup. It's a weird dichotomy that I can't really put my finger around, but I just don't think I don't think it's good for society. Number one, I don't think random hooking up with people is good. I don't think that's good for society, but I also don't think it's good for, life structure and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, like, I've done that. Like, it's like, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I can admit to being wrong and trying to learn from this, right? So I was like maybe a little bit younger than most people, and I was experiencing this, and I was just like, this is not pleasurable. I don't want to spend the next 4 years at college doing this, and then another 6 years after college doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, there's got to be a better way. So that being said, I don't really know how we kind of got on this rant of college getting drunk and stuff. But I was going back to the Joe Biden rant, and I was talking about, or not Joe Biden, I was talking about the Capitol raid. I was talking about the Capitol raid, and then I was talking about how most violent crimes are committed on the influence of alcohol, which is true. And that is very true. Getting a DUI ruins your life. 10,000 grand, basically 10 grand right there. You get a DUI, you get 10 grand, and it takes, I don't even know how long. Does it take like 5 years to do community service, go to court and all that shit, and then finally get it expunged? I don't know how long your license expires. Like, what if you, and like, let's talk about this. Like, I know a kid, so I worked at a grocery store with a kid. I'm not going to use any names or anything like that. But if you know who he is, then that's just what it is. I went to a grocery store with a kid, worked with him for about like half a year or so. I worked there for like 2 years, but he was only there for like half a year. Then he moved to another state. And I found out, I think he was drinking. I think he was drinking. I looked really hard into the case. I don't know if he got charged with a DUI or being under the influence. I could be wrong. He definitely could have gotten charged. I'm not quite sure. I really wanted to look into it, but there were like the websites were kind of they were both there was a bunch of websites giving different information, if you want me to be honest with you. So I couldn't figure out what really happened to him. But one morning he was driving to work, and I guess he was drunk, and he tried passing people. He went over the yellow lines and tried passing people on the opposite side of the street, and he hit a guy riding a motorcycle head on and killed him, right? Go figure that the guy was the local fire department chief, or the chief of the fire department of the local fire department in that town. And the people were devastated. And they that's the chief fireman of the town. And then you got this kid that just moved from another state, and he goes and is drinking and driving and kills the chief fireman. Like, yeah, the whole jury wanted him to be guilty, and he's spending 8 years in jail. 8 years in jail for, I believe, manslaughter. And that's reality. That's reality, bro. Like, I was bagging groceries with this kid, and he was nice. He was a nice person. He was really nice. He was like a good kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't one of those kids where it's like, this kid's gonna go down the wrong path. He made a fucked up decision. He made a very fucked up decision, and he's spending years in prison. Years in prison. Like, that's insane to me. That is insane to me. And I talked about it with my other guest. One of my other guests, he went to TCNJ, and his frat, I don't even know how we got on this conversation, but I'll just keep going. But one of his frat brothers was a DD, and he was driving around the frat to different parties this one night. This one guy, I guess, went over the yellow lines trying to pass someone, or he was completely drunk. And he hit the kid head on and killed the kid. Put two other kids in a coma, and he killed another kid just from being drunk. Just from being drunk and making wrong decisions, making bad decisions. And it's just like, alcohol is really the one. You could rip alcohol apart, but it's illegal. I think that's what I was getting at. You can go to the store and buy enough alcohol. You could spend $25 right now and kill yourself with the amount of alcohol you can buy. That's mind-boggling to me. That's mind-boggling. But you can't go to a restaurant, right? You can't go to a restaurant because, you'll get COVID. You'll get COVID, and then you'll go to jail for giving someone COVID. It's criminal. You can't have a mass gathering in California because your neighbors will call the cops on you because you have too many people over your house for fucking Christmas. That's criminal. That's communism, okay? That's not a free America that I know. It's not. It's not. Over coronavirus, you have a 99.9% survival rate. Come on now. And now we have 3 different vaccines because the first one doesn't fucking work. Because the regular flu vaccine doesn't work in general. So now we just got to, like, it's such a money grab. It's such a money grab. And people are asleep behind the wheel. Every day they repost Joe Biden, Governor Murphy locking down more places, keeping us safe. Like, you are fucking an idiot. I'm sorry. It's insane. It is, like, I've read books about COVID. I've read what the WHO and the CDC have said about COVID, what's happened in China, and then how the information spread and how the information got turned and flipped and upside down in all European states, South American states. And you know who has a big part with all that? Been saying it. Twitter and Facebook, because Twitter and Facebook are hacked by China. They're hacked by big tech. They are big tech, and they're hacked. So then let's talk about the GameStop situation. Okay, let's talk about the GameStop and the stock situation, because this, at the end of the day, this is hypocrisy. This is the hypocrisy that I've been calling out on this damn podcast. And I don't know if maybe the people that watch it and that I know, maybe you guys don't agree with me, or you guys just are asleep behind the wheel, or maybe these videos get shadow banned, or maybe I just got to work on my goddamn marketing skills because I fucking suck at marketing. But it's just what it is, okay? Because this is the reality behind what's going on in this country, okay? This whole all of this smoke in the air, trying to distract us. It's all a bunch of distraction. It's so obvious. And that's one of the biggest parts that really irks me is like, I'm a fucking moron. I run long distance for fun. I make podcasts and YouTube videos and I exercise and I try to learn about more stuff to make better quality videos, but I am no smarter than anybody else. I'm not smarter than you. I don't think I'm dumber than you, but I'm not smart. I'm nowhere near some genius, okay? Not at all, okay? But I'm not getting fooled by this bullshit. It's so obvious to me. It's so obvious to me that both the Republicans, the Democrats, both criminals, both lying to us. Why would we pick a side when they're both lying and they're both criminals? The mainstream media has been wrong for the past 25 years, 30, 40, 50. They've been wrong about everything, absolutely everything. And now we still believe them. They failed our economy in 2008 and got bailed the fuck out. Mainstream media didn't do nothing about it. That's why and that's why like Vice, like a lot of those Vice things, like I don't really like Vice anymore. After seeing that whole fucking bull, I'm sorry, I'm kind of cursing a little bit. I'm getting a little out of hand. But after seeing that BS documentary about the 2008 housing market crisis and these guys acting like they're all, oh my God, the financial market's about to crash and we got to figure it out, Mr. Obama. Oh, like, dude, you let that shit happen. You let all that shit happen. All the mortgages and the floating interest rates, you made money on that. You created that system. And it's criminal. The fact that a young kid has to make a podcast because it drives me insane. And I have to talk about this stuff. And it's insane because a lot of people just don't even, and it's all linked up. It's all linked up. This big tech, big Wall Street, Joe Biden, politics, Corona, Black Lives Matter. Are you guys fucking are unaware that it's all connected? Look at the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't know if it's exactly BLM, but there's a whole stop the racism. So if you think it's only America, that's where you're wrong, okay? Watch soccer right now because soccer, I will admit, does have a lot of racist incidents where the fans are throwing bananas at black players. Like, it's fucked up. It is. But you know who's also in bed with Europe and especially England? England's a big one. George Soros. George Soros made $1 billion off England leaving the euro. They left the euro. Their economy basically tanked, and George Soros made $1 million because he's a, what is he? He's a financial, what is he? He's a financial inspector or one of those guys that like, he's a predictor. He predicts the market and shit. He's a fucking con man, bro. He's a con man, and he's part of the Nazi party, and that's just what it is. Okay, so you hear some of these crazy QAnon guys throw around George Soros. I mean, I don't think the QAnon's fully right. I don't think the far libs are fully right. I think they're all crazy. But dude, to say that George Soros doesn't have his hand in the cookie jar, I think that's nihilism. I think that's super naive. He made $1 billion off England's collapse almost. And now he's in bed with the whole Black Lives Matter situation. You just look up his Open Fund Society. Look up the Open Fund Society. That's George Soros' society, okay? And actually do some research, okay? Actually do some, and think for yourself. If you watch a video, right? If you watch a video on Twitter, let's just super random right now. You watch these videos on Twitter where there's going to be, this was big a few months ago during the Black Lives Matter protest, when there would be random things of bricks dropped off. That's a real video, okay? That's a real video of these random bricks, these signs and shit all everywhere, okay? To act like, and then the mainstream media is like, oh yeah, that's not true, that's fake. The fuck? I just watched the video. I just saw it happen multiple times. Multiple videos with all these different weird things, these weird anomalies, I'd like to call it. And then even Fox News, you're not allowed to bring up George Soros. Fuck you. That's what I got to say to that. Fuck you. And they'll shout that. I wouldn't even be able to clip this up and post it on Instagram or TikTok because they'll take it down. They will take it down. And that's criminal. It's really criminal. It's a shame. It really grinds my gears. It really does. And I have to be careful about what I talk about because I want to have a successful podcast. I want to pick up sponsors. I want to do this, that, and the third with myself, my brand, my name. But at the same time, like, I'm not getting told this book. Like, LeBron James is worth $1 billion. You're not going to tell me that I'm oppressing you, LeBron. That's a bad business plan. You're going to make $40 million when you're a 40-year-old athlete. And you're going to say that you're oppressed. Like, at the end of the day, the average white person is eventually not going to believe that, okay? And I'm not trying to even talk about the Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of systemic racism. That's 100% true. I understand that a lot of Jim Crow laws are still kind of in place, especially judicially, especially with the marijuana and all these different drug arrests and things like that. That I understand. The redlining of the communities and stuff, the less funding, and that's why I'm big in this conspiracy. Because once you really learn one real topic, the conspiracy opens up. It really does. And you want to know the topic that opened me up? Food. When you learn that the food that they give you, the government, the mainstream media, these commercials for food, that food kills you. That food makes you feel like shit, and that food requires you to use government pharmaceutical drugs because that food destroys your body. It does. Period. Okay? So once you learn about and look at low-income communities, they give them even worse food. Look at the vegetables and fruit in low-income communities. It's almost like plastic. It's almost not real food. It's straight GMOs, genetically modified fucking foods. That's exactly what it is. Okay? So, like, that's true. But so is all the other things that I'm saying as well. And I believe it. So once you start learning all of this, it's like, damn, bro. And I don't want to be completely crazy and say that the government is trying to kill us and like, you could say that if they wanted to kill us, they would just kill us, right? Okay, maybe that's what, if they were really blood-sucking freaking lizard people, and who knows, they would probably just build a big temple and blow it up, right? 9/11, pretty interesting. They kind of did that with that. So that's just reality. That's reality. And people that like have been affected from 9/11 don't want to even think about it. And you learn about the mindset when you go through something that tragic, that big of a catastrophe. Your brain cannot wrap around that the government tried killing you. And that's what I tried to explain it to my friend Roldy. I was like, yo, there's this thing called, I think it's Project Red Wings or Northwoods. I think it's Operation Northwoods, right? So JFK was the president. The CIA government came to JFK and was like, yo, bossy boss, we're going to blow up this airliner and we're going to blame it on Cuba and we're going to go to war with Cuba. How do you feel about that? And JFK was like, I'm not fucking doing that. That's terrible. I'm not doing that. JFK's brother was like, yo, I'll do that shit, right? So they killed JFK. JFK's brother wasn't cool with that they killed JFK. So he was like, yo, I'm not doing that. Like, let's go to war with Russia and shit, right? So long story short, that's all declassified information. If our government, and our government has also multiple times, I was telling this to Roldy too, and I only brought up one time with him. And now that I learned it's multiple times, we've gone to different countries, completely infiltrated that country and put different forms of illnesses and STDs. Specifically, one of them that I know is we put syphilis in this one country to test out if our penicillin medication would work. And I think our penicillin did eventually work. But we gave a whole entire country syphilis. You know what I'm saying? That's wrong. That is wrong on every level. And it's not to say, and you could make the argument that other countries are doing it against us. You know, the whole LSD movement was because a Russian scientist figured out what LSD was. And our CIA didn't want Russia, to use LSD against us and use mind control of the human population with LSD. Maybe they were going to fly a plane and spray LSD. I don't know what they thought was going to happen. So you learn about Charles Manson. Charles Manson was a CIA, I don't want to say a CIA operative, but he was a CIA experiment, okay? MK Ultra was using LSD on U.S. citizens, okay? And they would see what would happen with these U.S. citizens on LSD. So Charles Manson was, I think, already a sociopath, and he was like controlling people. He was like a cult leader, controlling these little girls. I think Charles Manson, I don't want to butcher this, but I think Charles Manson would kind of manipulate these little girls. The little girls would go out and like murder people for Charles Manson because he would convince them to do this. And he was like giving them LSD. Apparently, he wasn't even taking that much LSD. He was just giving it to them. Okay, but if you actually learn, there's this guy that wrote a book about it, spent 20 years writing a book about it. But if you really look into the whole Charles Manson story, the CIA was helping him get out of jail all the time, in and out of court, in and out of court. But he was never getting sentenced on anything. And that's why you can even go into this. The CIA might have their hand in the cookie jar in the rap industry, because there's like King Von. There's arguments that King Von should have been in jail for a long time for a lot of the things he's done. Maybe he just had a good lawyer. Maybe. Or maybe the CIA promotes people like this to rap about dangerous living, a dangerous lifestyle, and they want to glorify it. They want to glorify the rap game because they want people to live like that. They want people to live below what we can reach. We can reach high education. We can reach enlightenment. We can reach financial freedom. But you could argue that our government truly does not want us to do that. They don't want us to think like that, because that means no one's going to be at the jobs that they own. No one's going to be in prison that they own. So I was talking to Rolly again, and it was like the same people on all these different arguments, right? They probably own the prisons as well. They own the prisons, and prisons don't make any private prisons don't make any money if you don't have almost over 90% capacity. So basically, the prison has to be full of prisoners to make money, okay? So do you see where I'm getting at? That means you have to make bullshit drug laws to arrest people for bullshit things to lock them up. So I understand the whole thing, okay? But Black Lives Matter, the organization, is owned by rich, corrupt white people. George Soros being one of them. Okay, I'm going in all different tangents in this one. It's just so interesting to me that like once you start learning about this shit, it all just comes. And you could say that's confirmation bias. I can understand that. I can understand the confirmation bias, and I look up a lot of the things that I want to be right, and then when I find the things that make me sound right, it's like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna run with this thing. So everybody falls victim of it. I can admit to having confirmation bias and falling victim to confirmation bias a lot of times. And I can admit to it. It's just what it is. I'm okay with that. Luke, it's full confirmation bias, what you're saying? All right. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. We'll keep moving because I still haven't even really gotten to the Capitol raid. I've been just kind of bouncing around ideas. I hope you guys enjoy. Just smash that like button. We're getting crazy right now. We're on Apple Podcasts. Check out the website. You can just listen on the website. If you're enjoying the YouTube, you already know. Check out the clip page. We're gonna clip this thing up and post a whole bunch of clips. So but yeah, the Capitol raid. I just think, and this is the big thing that I think is hypocrisy. The way the mainstream media, Black Lives Matter, they burn, and there was white people, don't get me wrong. You had white women burning down some of the buildings in the Black Lives Matter protest. So, like, I understand the anomalies in that as well. Don't get me wrong. But the way the media portrayed it, it's like, oh, good protest, peaceful protesters and shit. Oh, it's all peaceful. It's like, dude, they're burning down their community. What are you talking about? They burned down Fairfax and Melrose in LA. They burned down fucking New York. They burned down the precinct in Minneapolis. They burned down shit in Baltimore. They burn it down. They burn it down. And you could argue that crisis actors are there getting paid, or homeless people, whatever there's a lot of things. You could say crisis actors, but you could also say that the crisis actors are just crazy homeless people getting paid and shipped around, because that's a big argument too, is that so there's a big, I'll throw you guys a little lead right here. Rudy Giuliani used to be the mayor of New York City, okay? Bill de Blasio's the mayor now. Guy's a fucking scumbag, should get run over by a train, but that's fine. It used to be Rudy Giuliani back in the day, okay? Crime rate was through the roof. New York City was kind of a piece of shit, okay? Rudy Giuliani fixed the crime rate, got a lot of the homeless people off the streets, right? And my parents use it. My dad works in New York. Both my parents are from New York. So they always talked about, like, they didn't understand how Rudy Giuliani got rid of the homeless people, but he did. He did. He got credit for it. It's what it is. Rudy Giuliani, he fixed up New York City, blah, 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 blah. Give him a lot of credit for it. What I've heard is that he would buy one-way tickets to San Francisco and LA and California, ship the homeless people out, and just one-way ticket there. It's warm, sunny in California. They don't need to come back to New York City. It's warm and sunny every fucking day there. So they just live there. And then you look at the homeless problem in California. There is massive communities of tents on the street there. And that's what a democratic, low key, that's what poor government, that's what horribly run government does to a state. That's what modern day democratic government does to a goddamn state. And it's really not like, I'm not Republican. I'm not, there's a lot of things that I like socially. I stand for a lot of things, liberal views when it comes to social policies. Like I said before, fiscally, financially, I tend to lean a little bit more conservatively. I want to work for the dollar that I get, and I don't want to pay for someone that's not willing to take care of their fucking life. Period. Okay? People start in bad positions in life, but there is a chance, there is a moment where it's like you like, I'm not supposed to take care of everybody. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Not saying that I do. I don't. But I can understand why grown adults that work their whole life and then start losing money from whatever it is, they want to take their Social Security, they want to take their taxes, they want to get more taxes, but then they want to give money away to people that don't even have jobs and are on drugs and shit. And then they want to legalize the drugs so people can literally get paid by the government and go buy legal drugs. There is multiple arguments in all of this. And then you can argue people aren't really going to do drugs that much if it's all legal, and people won't go to jail, and people won't ruin their lives from doing a little bit of cocaine, whatever it may be. I understand it all. But it's very complicated. It's a real complicated subject once you start going down that hole of, what laws should be legal. I think marijuana should just be straight legal, and the whole and that's just so criminal. And then you can learn about the history of marijuana, and people wrote bad reviews and tried to destroy the resume of marijuana because the hemp plant, the plant itself, like the stick of marijuana, not the buzz that you smoke and shit. Yeah, of course, CBD, marijuana, it can help anxiety, it can help inflammation and stuff like that. But the stick, it's like a wooden stick. It's like the branch of the marijuana plant, the full stem, I guess you could say. You can make a lot of things. Hemp, it's called hemp. You can make a lot of things: rope, paper, pencils, all these different things. It's insane what you can make. Medicine, medication, all these different things. I think cardboard type of stuff. All this recyclable things with just a regrowing plant. And then they wrote a lot of bad news that marijuana, you lose your brain cells, your brain blows up. Is that a doobie? Boom, head blows up. But where else do we want to go? But yeah, I just think it's really hypocrisy that the mainstream media is like, oh, yeah, the Capitol raid, those people should be in jail. They should be ashamed of themselves. It's against the Constitution. It's this, that, and the third. It's like, well, you didn't say that when they were burning down the community that they live in, the community that they work and live in, or where people that didn't even live in that state were coming into that state and burning down that community. But the news didn't promote that. They didn't talk about anybody going and stealing sneakers, right? So I live in New Jersey, right? During the whole Black Lives Matter protest, they went to Trenton, downtown Trenton. They fucking broke into buildings. I don't know if they burned anything down, but they all got a free pair of sneakers. Anyone that wanted to could have gotten a free pair of Nike sneakers, right? Nike didn't do anything about that. They didn't do anything about that on the news. That's hypocrisy. That's unconstitutional. And it's not the principle. I don't even want to say it's the principle of the citizen, because the citizen in that mob mentality is there. It's hard to control someone like that, right? But the media should be held accountable. You could also even say people, what they post on social media should start being held accountable for what they post, whether that's craziness. Like, I mean, you could say I should be held accountable for saying all this craziness. Meanwhile, half the shit I'm saying is probably fucking true that nobody even knows. And it's sad when you really start looking into, and that's a big reason why I made this podcast, because I was really looking into some of this shit that people are saying, right? The media said, oh, look at Trump's speech. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna spend 2 hours now watching Trump's speech, and then I'm gonna have to watch what you say about Trump's speech, and then I'm gonna have to think for myself. Because it's like, oh, look what he said. It's like, well, I just listened to the 2-hour speech, and he didn't really say that, though. He didn't really say some of these things. And I'm not trying to be a pro-Trumper or anything like that. I'm not trying to pick sides politically, but it's everything. The weather. I don't think anyone can really predict the weather, so I do kind of give the weatherman a little benefit of the doubt. I think there's a billion mathematical equations to figure out how to get the weather forecast, which is just unimaginable. That's not really possible to do that much do that much math to figure out the weather. But hey, people do it, they get paid, and they come on TV and they fucking lie to us. So that's fine. But then you have like people like Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is a South African guy, has his own little TV show, right? All he does is make fun of America. All he does. You're not American, bro. Fuck you. How about that? John Oliver, okay? He's got his own little show on HBO, right? Makes fun of America, this, that, and the third. You don't talk about no real shit. You talk about what your writers write for you. And I'm not trying to hate on you. I know you probably got a family. You probably got kids to feed. You got a mouth to feed. You probably were a poor man once. But you know what, bro? You're spreading lies. You're spreading false information. You're creating a race war. You're creating this polarization of politics. That's what you're creating, John Oliver and Trevor Noah. And you guys just make fun of each other. You guys make fun of us for fighting with each other about this shit. But you're the one, you have a massive platform and you spill fake fucking news, man. Shame on you. Shame on you. Trevor Noah, John Oliver, you're sellouts. That's what you are. Chinese, Chi-Com, sellouts, okay? Sellouts. Chrissy Teigen, you're a sellout, okay? Let's talk about Chrissy Teigen. I've known this. Chrissy Teigen always gave me these weird vibes, like she was a bit of a lizard person. I'm not even going to style, if you want me to be honest with you. She just gave me she's like a sellout. She's just like a Chi-Com, like she's part of deep state low-key. I was just like, there's just something off with her, right? And then she posted the pictures of her miscarriage. And I thought that was really interesting because the pictures that she posted, they were not need to be posted. You don't need to post pictures of you in the hospital, in exactly where you were about to have your baby. The blood's everywhere. You're crying and shit. Like you basically have paparazzi watching you have a miscarriage, okay? And okay, that's fine. I understand you can post about your miscarriage. I definitely agree with that. I think you should post about it. I think it's an important message. But the way she went about it to me doesn't sit right because she does have almost 50 million followers, okay? And if you're like, oh, look, you're not saying the right thing, you're not thinking it through. That's the problem is people are not thinking it through. How much money do these people get from one Instagram post? You don't know that, right? You read Kim Kardashian gets paid $1 million. She gets paid this much money every Instagram post. So does Chrissy fucking Teigen. She has almost 50 million. She's got 50 million followers on Instagram. She's posting this miscarriage thing. And I'm thinking truthfully, I understand you can post it and whatever, you can post an emotional thing, but it was such an attention grab. It was such an attention whore moment. And I'm not trying to, berate anybody's, miscarriage or anything like that. I don't want to get out of I don't want to be miscontext, but get taken out of context. But that being said, she probably made millions of dollars off posting those pictures. And it was just you didn't need to post those pictures. You crying. We don't need to see that. We don't need to see you crying over your miscarriage. If you really had a miscarriage, you probably wouldn't have posted those pictures. You probably would have posted maybe a small video or maybe a simple video of you and your husband, John Legend, and your other kids that you should be thankful for having. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was the blood. It was the death of the child, right? And she made money. She monetized that. That's what doesn't sit right with me. She monetized the death of her child, okay? And this was all before all this craziness came out about Chrissy Teigen. And go fucking figure. Go figure. I knew it, bro. I knew it. So then she had to delete 60,000 tweets that she had because she's in bed with the deep state, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. That's reality. That's reality, okay? Chrissy Teigen, I see through your bullshit, okay? And dude, who knows? Maybe someone could make a video and like Luke Vaughn is a child baby sucking lizard person. And then maybe that could make me realize like, oh, maybe none of this shit is true. And it's if someone's gonna say that about me, I'm certainly not. I'm about to go deliver pizzas tonight to go make a goddamn living. And that's basically it. But there is a sense of these people are rich as hell. They're sellouts. They don't write their own jokes. You know what I'm saying? Like people that like Trevor Noah, John, they don't write their own jokes. People backstage go to comedy shows, steal comedians' jokes, which is a fact, and then they go and they write their own thing. They have to add their little mainstream narrative, their big corporation narrative. So, oh, well, you got to talk about Black Lives Matter. It's like, okay, we'll do, boss. You know what I'm saying? Add that in the jokes and shit. It's just like, at the end of the day, bro, like, it's a shitty business plan. It's a shitty business plan to tell all the Americans that they're stupid and we're dumb as hell and we're all racist and shit. There comes a point where it's like, all right, John Oliver and Trevor Noah, you're not even American, bro. Go fuck yourself. How about that? How about that? Dude, and honestly, if I seen them, I would come at them like a freaking Rottweiler. I'm not saying fighting, but I would. But that's why I want to have my camera on deck, bro. And always, if I ever see someone famous like that, they're just sellouts, bro. They're selling out this country. And that's why I need to give up wearing Nikes. I'm done wearing Nikes because it is hypocrisy for me to say all this shit and then I'm wearing Nike sneakers and shit. It's hypocrisy on my part. And I'm bigger than that. I'm better than the man. Dude, I haven't even talked about GameStop right now. We'll get there. Joe Biden. We'll talk a little bit about Joe Biden. And the Capitol raid is insane to me. The way the media just manipulated and like, oh, these people are terrible people. It's like, what about the fucking people that were burning down the communities? They're not terrible people. They're the same people. They're both fighting corrupt government, but they're both fighting two different news channels. One's only watching Fox News and one's only watching CNN. And it's so insane. It's so obvious. It's insane to me. It's baffling. And truthfully, I wish I was at the Capitol raid and I wish I went inside the Capitol. That would have been lit. And I do need to get one of those hats. So if you're mad that I pull up with the podcast with a Viking hat, dude, read it and weep. Honestly. So Joe Biden, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got, like, that's what I was saying to Rolly. How, like, they already are on Time Magazine People of the Year. They didn't fucking do anything last year. How is that possible? You know how that's possible? Because those are the people that the media and the organization, they want them. Okay, we want these people. They're going to promote the message that we want. Here you go. We're going to put you on the front of the TV. We're going to put you, here you go. You got some books. Go to Barnes & Noble's right now. Go to Barnes & Noble's bookstore right now. There's 1 million books about Trump selling us out, Trump being a moron. And then there's like 5 books written by Obama, 5 different Obama freaking memoirs. I don't know how many biographies one person can fucking write. Same thing with Joe Biden. He's got a new book that just came out. He's got a book that dropped like 2 years ago. He has a book that dropped when he was vice president. It's like these people are criminals. And you know what they do when they drop these books? This is what I want to talk about too. We should be signing these peace treaties and we should be signing these deals with other countries, selling U.S.-made goods, selling U.S.-made cars, selling U.S.-made the selling guns is an interesting conversation because we always end up selling guns to people that we go to war with. So I don't really want to be the person to promote selling guns, even though it is a big part of our U.S. economy. But we're selling cars. We don't make enough clothing here. I think we do make a lot of food here that we do ship out. I think that's one of our biggest exports. I could be wrong. I think food is one of our biggest exports. But yeah, you know what the presidents always do? They always do. And I'd be interested to look into what Trump does when he, in his next few years out of office, because I know Trump is already a billionaire, so he doesn't technically technically didn't need to sign some of these treaties that the past presidents and vice presidents have all done. So like the Clintons, Obama, the Bushes, what they do is when they sign these treaties, these trade deals, and there's this, that, and the third, the bank treaties, the tax cuts and shit like that, in the deals, they have, in the contracts, they write down that they have to come to, let's say, JP Morgan Chase twice a year for the next 4 years and deliver a speech, a 20-minute speech, and they get paid $700,000-$800,000 for a 20-minute speech. That's bribery, okay? That's what we call bribery, okay? That is arguably treason on the Constitution. And that's what they do. Like Hillary Clinton and the Clintons, when they were before they were in office, I think they were worth like a few $1 million. Now they're worth almost $200 million or like $100 million or something. And that's just from going to JP Morgan Chase and going to all these different these bankers and having 20, 30-minute speeches, getting paid $1 million for a 20-minute. Obama did the same thing. George Bush did the same thing. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. Like I said, I'll be interested to stay on top of Trump. And if Trump does that, I will call him the fuck out. Okay? It's not like I'm picking sides over here. It's corrupt government is destroying our democracy. Okay? And that's what they're like, oh, these people attacking the Capitol are destroying our democracy. It's like, bro, the people that are at the protest for Black Lives Matter and the people that are at the Capitol riot, they're both fighting against governments that's taking away our democracy. But the media is making them fight each other. That's why I brought up the idea of the liberals, Antifa/libs, and the Trump supporters, alt-right, whatever you want to call them, the QAnon. They could fight each other at one point. They could meet up at a riot, protest, anti-protest, counter-protest is what they call them. And they could meet up and they could fight. They could fight to the death. Who knows what happens? Who knows what's going to happen? But that's a possibility. And the fact that and then, like I said, martial law, they want the martial law to come into place because once we are out of hand, they have an excuse to grab us by the throat and control us. Okay, that's reality. That's real. It's not like this is some conspiracy, like, oh, that's a conspiracy. It's not really a conspiracy, bro. It's happened for thousands of years, okay? This is what happens, okay? Human psychology and behavior have not changed much for the last, low-key, our brain has not changed much in the last 50,000 years. So you can make that argument as well. It's all very interesting seeing what's happened. Joe Biden, I think his first day in office, cut the pipeline, over almost 50,000 jobs instantly gone just like that. So shout out to Joe Biden for that. 50,000 jobs. If Trump did that, media would kill him for that. And that's the only problem that I have. That's the only problem that I have with, not the only problem. That's the biggest problem that I have with the whole Trump thing, is they would ring Trump out for everything. Even if he didn't even really do anything, they would ring him out and blame it all on Trump. And now Joe Biden's basically destroying our country way more legislation-wise. And they're just going to make him a martyr. They're going to call him King Joe, Person of the Year, the president we need. It's criminal how the media is manipulating it. I truly think the media is going to go out of business in a few years just because after a while, like once one person wakes up from this, they just won't go back to, like, I'll never listen to some mainstream media bullshit. It's all fake news. And I'm not trying to sound like a crazy guy. Like, I read a lot of books. I read a lot of literature. Once you really start learning about the history, it's all a bunch of fake news. Like, you go to college, you can take a social like, I know people, they're getting a degree in social problems. Like, I'm sorry, it's almost a bullshit degree. It really is. It's only black and white. It's only short. You're only learning about short U.S. history, the last like 100, 200 years of history. It's like, oh yeah, it's all about slavery. What the fuck? It's been going on for thousands of years. Thousands of years, different kings and the czars and all of this different stuff. The European empires, the Persians, Alexander the Great, burning of the Library of Alexandria. Like, this has been going on for thousands of years. Governments letting a guy like Trump take control, letting Trump make a fool out of himself, right? Like he did, and then blaming everything on Trump like they've done. And just waiting their turn for Joe Biden to get in, and they had everything in place. Like, the fact that that's not obvious, like, you could read simple books, and you're like, oh yeah, that kind of does link up. And it's just, to me, it's baffling. It's baffling that people just go along with it. Oh yeah, you should wear a mask. Mask does really, like, besides the M95, the really high level mask, the little paper mask, there's no scientific evidence. Not one piece of real scientific evidence that talks about that. There's not one piece of scientific evidence that talks about the mask protecting you from flu, COVID, virus, anything like that. No scientific evidence. Okay. So when people say like, oh, the mask helps, that's scientifically untrue. That's scientifically untrue. That's not true. There's no evidence to prove that. There's probably a lot of paid evidence, and that's a big thing too. And that's a big thing that women don't want to talk about, because when it comes to the women gender studies, a lot of the modern day women gender, this is why Jordan Peterson gets a lot of flack, but he also gets a lot of credit, I guess you could say, because a lot of like the gender wage gap and stuff like that, they're comparing apples and oranges. You're picking a woman that chose to be a nurse against a man that chose to have a higher position job, and you're comparing wage gap. And if you actually look, and I know you're probably gonna be like, that's not fucking true. They're looking at two people with the same jobs. That's not true. That's not true. And when you think that they're just, they're probably just taking a male as a nurse and a female as a nurse, and they're probably comparing each other. That's not what they're doing. And when you look into these gender study programs and these little research things that they do, and they come out with journals and these little study things and these experiments and stuff, and people rip them apart because they're not the same thing. Like I can hold myself accountable. When you look at the nutrition studies and experiments, a lot of it is BS, because you're taking people that don't follow nutritional things, usually unhealthy people, and then they tweak their diet like a little bit. They add, like when they any information, like any like fasting studies on fasting and stuff like that, they're using unhealthy people and people that haven't already cut out processed foods and fast foods and stuff like that. They're having super like fat, unhealthy people with coronary problems and heart disease and hypertension and high blood pressure test all these different things. Like, these people are addicted to their food. Do you think they're strict on these diets? Like, no, they're not. Like, they're not. They're not. That's when you look at all these fasting programs and these vegan studies, like a lot of the vegan studies, like it's hard to take it. And I am a vegan, and it's not because, I don't want to. I mean, the big meat industry is disgusting. It really is. It's disgusting. And it's good that I'm not taking part of it. But you could also argue that there's illegal aliens, right? You call them illegal Mexicans, immigrants, Hispanic people. Usually it is Hispanic people that work on the farms where my fruits and vegetables come from, right? So they're working on the farms, slaving away like that. Okay, so there's the same aspect of, there's a negative aspect. I mean, they are getting paid and doing the job, and I guess their animals aren't getting killed and held in slaughterhouses and knowing they're going to get killed. That's the big idea, is like you're eating an animal that knows it's about to get killed. It's low-key, its whole life, it might know it's about to get killed. So you're eating a depressed cow. Like, that's pretty deep. Like, the amount of hormones in its muscles and shit, where it's like, I know I'm about to die. Like, imagine like the person that like when you're about to die, or like you're just depressed, like, like if you really learn about hormones, your hormone level is completely fucked up. You're not healthy. Your body's not healthy. Your immune system's deprived. Your nutrients are low. Everything is bad. Same thing with eating a cow and animals that are all juiced up on steroids, eating non-natural diets because it's cheap for them to feed them, and then they know they're about to die. So it's like, it's a tricky conversation. It's a tricky conversation. That's life. That's life. Life is just so tricky. It's so complicated. I know every once in a while, like I said, this was a bit of a comedy podcast, but the thing about comedy is it's only funny if it's somewhat true, right? It's only funny if they're making fun of true things, right? It's not funny if you're making fun of something that's not really true. Then you're like, well, I mean, you're kind of just being a goofball saying shit that's not real. You're just playing with imagination, right? That's why when people tell stories about comedy, you're like, dude, there's no way this story is true. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but that's the thing, is they're making fun of reality. And we got to make fun of reality a little bit. Like Joe Biden saying that what he passed, the Transgender Act, like now transgender people are allowed to be in the military. Were they not allowed to be in the military? Because it's always a tricky conversation. It's like, were they allowed to be in the military? Because there was a lot of arguments that people would join the military as a transgender just so the military would pay for their transgender medication and sex operations, right? So that's a reality of the conversation, okay? And the minority people are the transgender communities. The majority is the regular Joe trying to join the military, okay? And that's just what in my opinion, some of these younger age, new age liberals just don't, these social justice warriors, they're not taking into account the whole bread and butter. They just want to look at a loaf. They just want to look at one slice of bread. It's like, girl, we got a whole sandwich here. We got a whole sandwich here we need to devour and look at and take apart and really figure out what's going on. So it's complicated. It's so complicated. But the way the media is like, oh, Joe Biden's a good guy. Dude, if we open everything up, this is my prediction. I predict COVID, they're going to open everything up by school time next year. They want the kids to be in school. They want to secure that college bag, that tuition. They want kids to go back to school. They need to get the kids off the streets. I agree with that. These kids need to be in school, talking to each other, having fun, partying, whatever it is. I'm okay with that. I'm down with that. It's what it is. But at the same time, if they open up at the end of the summer and they blame it all on Trump, which they've already had. They blamed it all on, like, it's crazy though. Like, if it was a real pandemic, it doesn't matter who the president is. How would anyone would have stopped us from having 400? Like, they're like, Trump, 400,000 people are dead from COVID because of you. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what did Trump do that killed 400,000? Like, that's the most idiotic thing. That's the stuff that really grinds my gears, honestly. What are you going to do, guys? I didn't even talk about GameStop. Let's talk about GameStop. So basically, if you heard about GameStop, it sounds like there was hedge fund guys, big billionaire hedge funds that placed a short bet, which would be placed a short play shorts on GameStop and I think other stocks. I think like Nokia and stuff like that too. But I think AMC, I believe too. Could be wrong, but I think GameStop was one of the big ones that kind of got like mainstream media attention. So the idea is that these hedge fund big billionaires play shorts. So what a short is you're basically betting for that stock to crash. Okay, the movie The Big Short is about people that figured out the housing market in 2008. They figured out that was going to crash. So there was no such thing as betting on the housing market to crash, placing a short on the housing market. So they low-key went around to these banks and mortgage firms and stuff and created their own short. So what happened was when the housing market crashed, they got rich off that, okay? So these people are planning, we're going to place a short on AMC, Nokia, GameStop because I mean, AMC, of course, no one's going to go to AMC. It's closed. It's been shut down for the last 12 months thanks to the freaking deep state. But even though AMC is overpriced, shit, I would never give $1 to AMC. $7 for a freaking small popcorn? You got me chopped. But yeah, they were basically betting that GameStop and all these stocks were going to fail. So there was this guy. I'm not quite, and I'd be interested to figure out how they found out that these big corporations placed this short. I don't know if it's public information. I'm not quite sure. But there was a guy on Reddit, and he was like, I guess he's like one of these, he has like a special name now. He kind of got famous because of all this stuff. But he said he's like a hedge fund guy. He's like in the stock market, and he's like, he's a real like elite stock market guy that was like laying low, something like that. I think that's like the story. And basically, he just hyped up the stock and was like, yo, if we can buy this, if we can all jack this price up, these people are going to lose a lot of money. And that's basically what happened. So then there's this stock app called Robinhood. I'm not sure, like I'm not fully sure exactly, like I'm not in the stock market community like that. And I think this whole like little Reddit thing was kind of like its own little community. And basically, it was a lot of it was through Robinhood. Robinhood, I believe is owned by Facebook. So it's a Facebook entity. Facebook owns Twitter, Snapchat. I think they own Snapchat, Instagram. It owns all the corporation. Facebook is the Google Chi-Com sellout. Okay, Mark Zuck is a lizard person. If you can't see that for your own eyes, that's the problem. If you don't know, like, I don't know if Mark Zuck, he's kind of a weird guy. No, he's not. He's a fucking lizard, okay? That's what he fucking is, okay? You got to look into lizard because he's not a lizard. He's not a lizard in a person body, but he's arguably a lizard person. Same thing with Jack Dorsey, though. He ain't fooling me, bro. You ain't fooling me, Dorsey. But
CEO of Twitter. So Robinhood, basically, I think it's an easy app where a lot of people you can go and you can make money through 401ks and all that stuff through Robinhood. You can also stock trade. So I believe everybody was buying and selling the stocks on through Robinhood. I think that was I guess that was the Reddit recommendation. I'm not quite sure. But what Robinhood did was so basically GameStop went through the roof. All these apps, all these stocks went through the roof. And the hedge funds, the big businesses, the big corporations, the big banks, I believe, lost almost $70 billion. $70 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough. I'm not quite sure how true any of these statistics are, but this is what I've been reading. But yeah, basically they were betting on these stocks to go bad. People realized that they made this bet. And people were like, all right, bro, like you've been screwing us over since at least 2008 when we figured out that you guys caused the housing market and then got bailed out for it because you were treating the U.S. Stock market like a casino. And I do agree with AOC when she called them out. AOC chastised, she chastised Mark Zuck and all these people in court. So I respect that. But my battery's getting low. But yeah, basically, and Google removed 100,000 one-star reviews from Robinhood. And Robinhood basically shut down trading and selling and buying from that platform just for those stocks. So that's big tech shutting down the stock market, basically. It's criminal. It's criminal what's going on, guys. Stay woke. My camera's getting a little hot right now. It's getting a little overheated. I need to wrap this thing up, but thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. God damn, guys. 2021 has been insane, but it's not over yet. We're just getting started. We got to stay woke. Stay tuned for more podcasts, way more guests on the way. Link in the description. Check out my website. Stay tuned for merch. Check out my Instagram. Link in the description. Check out my vlogs. Link in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. GameStop, Joe Biden, Capitol Raid, Donald Trump, baby. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. Hillary Clinton's up to it all. George Soros, bro. We got to stop him. Let's go. Deuces.